Your sugar is high and you don't know why, other than the fact that you do have a diabetes diagnosis. But the thing is, you're doing everything you're told. You're taking all the medicines your doctor has told you to take. You think you're eating as you're told, but you are extremely frustrated because none of this seems to be working. You're getting high readings on your blood sugar machine every time you check your sugar. So in today's video, we're going to discuss with you 4 reasons why your sugar is high, even though you appear to be doing everything that you are told. And of those 4 reasons, only one is obvious. So you're definitely going to want to listen to the end to find out what are some of the reasons why you are just not getting your goals. All right. So we're going to dive right into it. So the first and most obvious reason why your blood sugar levels are high is because you're really still getting too much glucose, right? So glucose is the sugar that you're measuring. It is the sugar that all the other sugars are converted to in your bloodstream, and your body has to tackle those, right? So where do you get glucose? That's what you have to ask yourself. So yes, sweet things give you glucose, but not only sweet things. So you're also going to get glucose from things that are not sweet, which specifically would be starches, because starches really, it's not sweet, but it's because all the glucose molecules or glucose bits are joined together. And so in that form, it does not taste sweet. But as soon as it gets into your body and it's broken down by digestion and so on, you get free glucose, pure glucose almost, and maybe some of the other nutrients depending on what is in this food. All right. So starch, I know I can't assume that everybody knows what starch is, because I had a patient, right, educated patient who asked me the other day, well, what do you get starch from, right? And so I had to explain this to him. Starch would come from your potatoes. You would get starch from rice, from anything made with flour, so your breads, your pastries, and things like that, right? Of course, vegetables you're going to get starch from as well. Potatoes, like I said, is one of the commonest starches, but I did have a patient who told me that potatoes were a vegetable. So he thought that potatoes were just regular vegetables and that he wasn't going to really have a problem with his blood sugar from potatoes. So I realized I can't really assume everything, right? So anyway, those are some of the common sources of starch, but you can also get starch from dairy, particularly milk products and even yogurt, because the milk sugar is lactose, and lactose is a combination of 2 simpler sugars, one being glucose and then the other being galactose. So just as with starch, where when you digest it, it breaks down into pure glucose, with dairy, it breaks down into half glucose and half galactose. And then ultimately, most of that galactose gets converted to glucose in your bloodstream anyway, right? So you might be thinking that, hey, I don't drink anything sweet. I get the artificial sugars and so on and so forth, but my sugar is still high. So it's probably because you're getting sugar from other forms. You're getting from starch and maybe even dairy, all right? So that's one reason. It's a more obvious one, but it might not be obvious now that you know that, hey, these things are not sweet, but hey, they're giving me sugar, sometimes even more sugar than things that taste sweet, right? So that's one of the reasons why your blood sugars are still high. Second reason, and this one is overlooked. This is because you might not be taking a lot of sugar or even a lot of starch, but whatever sugar or starch you do take, or even dairy, it's getting into your bloodstream too quickly. All right. So there's a big difference in the speed of entry of sugar into your bloodstream. Okay. And this is dependent on what comes with the sugar. So if you're eating or drinking things with sugar, if it's like pure sugar compared to if it's sugar mixed with some fat or mixed with protein or mixed with fiber even, so it means that the more you have with the sugar, it dilutes it or it spreads it out. So that sugar has to kind of go across a lot of different obstacles before it can get to the lining of your intestines and get into your bloodstream, right? So you might be having like tiny amounts of sugar, but you're having it pure, right? So you might say, okay, I'm just gonna have like these 2 little cookies because it's within the carb count that I'm allotted, but you're having the pure cookies, which basically are sugar and starch. So it's basically all sugar, all glucose. And even though you're having 2 little cookies, it's getting into your bloodstream so easily because there's nothing else with that at all. You're having it on an empty stomach because this is no doubt, in most cases, it's going to be super processed, like in a factory, which means it's practically pulverized and then put together in this cookie. But then as soon as it touches the saliva and your stomach juices, it dissolves really quickly or instantly and gets really quickly in your bloodstream because there's nothing blocking its passage into your bloodstream, right? So maybe you're not having a lot of sugar, but whatever it is, right, whether starch, sweet, whatever, it's getting into your bloodstream really, really rapidly. And because it's getting in more rapidly than it can be processed, it means that your blood sugar is going to go up a little bit, right, until it does get to be processed, right? So that's an overlooked reason for your blood sugar being high, even though it appears that you're doing everything you need to be doing, okay? The third reason is that okay, you know, it's not that much sugar, it's not getting that fast, but still your body's having difficulties actually processing it, right? So the sugar that gets in, really, it's for energy to be used by the cells of your body, right? But two things: one, maybe your cells are not able to efficiently or, you know, quickly respond and you get at this energy, right? Because of this problem, which you might have heard of, called insulin resistance, where that chemical, the insulin, which is responsible for taking the glucose into your cells, it's not working properly. And so it's taking a longer time to crank up and then get the glucose into your system. So it's taking too long for your body to use this sugar that's coming into your bloodstream, right? Or maybe your insulin works fine, you don't have insulin resistance, but maybe you don't have enough properly working cells, you know, tissues in your body that can use this glucose, right? And a big reason here is just not having enough muscle mass. Okay, so especially the older you get, you might have your muscles sort of shrinking a little bit. That, you know, is a normal thing with aging, right? And then sometimes some medical conditions can cause you to really have muscle wasting. So if you're just not keeping up with the muscle mass, or maybe even some of your organs aren't working properly, or maybe you have no kidneys, maybe you're on dialysis. So the kidneys are two major users of the energy from your food, specifically glucose. Okay, so if you don't have enough tissues that can suck that glucose from your blood, then it's going to stay there longer because you're just not using it. So maybe that's one of the reasons why your sugar is staying long, because you don't have enough to use it up fast enough. There's not enough of healthy tissues to use up that glucose fast enough, so it lingers for a little longer than normal, right? And then the fourth reason, and this is really the big overlooked one, right? Because a lot of people are doing everything, right? They're eating the right things, they're eating the vegetables and for the fiber and so on and so forth. But guess what? Their body is actually making glucose. So believe it or not, we would not die if we never had another bite of starch or sugar, whatever, to eat in our lives, because our body can actually make it from scratch, glucose from scratch. But the thing is, we make glucose from scratch to sustain our needs, the brain and so on and so forth, and when we're fasting overnight. But sometimes glucose is made even when we don't need it, and that's particularly when the body is under stress. Now, stress commonly is thought of as the psychological stress, you know, anxiety and depression and worrying and so on and so forth. But a lot of times stress is actually because of things that, like bad things that are happening in the body, you know, various medical conditions. If you have like chronic inflammation from rheumatoid arthritis and so on, that can be a stressful condition, right? And then also a lot of people are struggling with sleep apnea, and a lot of cases of sleep apnea, probably more than 50%, they're not diagnosed. So people are going to sleep and having these periods where they, you know, you pause, your breath pauses because of squeezing your airways up here, and every time that happens, your blood oxygen levels drop, right? And so that's stressful because you're not getting enough oxygen to all your tissues. And then the other thing is that the carbon dioxide levels go up, and that causes your blood to get more acidic, and that is also stressful for the body, right? So every time you're undergoing this stress, and if it's happening multiple, every few minutes, every single night, night after night, then that's chronic stress on your body. And that chronic stressful state causes your body to make more glucose, because stress, even though it's not the fight flight, right, it's the same response, the same production of sugar to happen, just like fight flight. But just in this case, you're not fighting or fleeing anywhere, so you're just there kind of stewing in all this you know, glucose from all the stress every single night, right? So that's an unrecognized reason for high blood sugar levels in some people. And like I said, it's not necessarily mental, psychological, but these chronic stressful conditions in the body that you would never know unless you get tested for it, right? So these are some of the reasons for you having high blood sugar, right? One, you're taking in too much sugar, or in many forms or all forms, right? Or either of the forms, right? Or your body is not able to the sugar is getting into your blood too fast, or your body's not using up sugar fast enough, or your body's making too much sugar, right? So, you know, what do you do? Well, first of all, you have to really evaluate your situation. Probably go to your doctor, find out what it is, what are your reasons for having too high blood sugar levels, right? So this requires really just kind of paying attention, bearing in mind everything I said, right? And then making changes from there. Now, I created what I call the BEAM blueprint, right? Which is, in my opinion, the one and only way to really tackle your blood sugar and your diabetes going forward once and for all, because it tackles all these 4 issues, right? In the BEAM blueprint, I teach you how to burn more sugar, right? Eat less sugar, because you can figure out all the ways you're getting sugar. absorb or soak in less sugar from the food that you do eat, and also make less sugar, right? So this is a 4-step approach to deal with sugar going into your blood in all aspects, right? From all angles. And that's why I think that this is the way, because a lot of times it's kind of tunnel vision, just kind of one focus, right? But it's not just one thing to fix with type 2 diabetes, multiple things and different things at different times in their life as well, right? So, you know, Beam Blueprint, like I said, is the way to tackle your diabetes once and for all. So you might think, well, that sounds all good, but how am I going to do it? I don't have time. I failed all these diets and so on and so forth. I know that's probably what you're thinking, right? But the idea is that you get the system and you adopt the system, right? Once you have a system and you know, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, you have a well planned out system for your situation, then you can tackle your blood sugar and keep it controlled and stable for the rest of your life, right? So then you're probably thinking, well, okay, yeah, I can do it, but hey, like the other people around me, like they're going to hinder me, like my wife or my husband, they're not supporting me. They're bringing all these things to health, like health, this system is going to fail because then all these distractions around me, that's going to make it hard for me to do this, right? Or I have children, right? So you think about all those things, but again, right? You then have to get smart in terms of, okay, when you eat, okay, there are all these distractions, but hey, I'm going to go to where I'm going to eat more when I do eat, right? So that ultimately I will spike less and then I will be less likely to fall or succumb to these temptations or these distractions around me, right? So it's multiple different factors to help you, right, adopt that Beam Blueprint and help it work for you going forward. Now, there's a lot more to it. Obviously, I can't say everything in like a 10-minute, 11-minute video, whatever, right? And so I've decided that I'm going to host a challenge, a live challenge, online challenge, right? And this is called the Control Your Blood Sugar Challenge, and I'm starting this. I'm doing it for the first time next week, which will be the week after this video airs. And I will invite you to join this challenge to see how you can implement the Beam Blueprint in your life and get your blood sugar under control once and for all. This is the first time I'm having the challenge, so as sort of special for the first time participants, there's going to be a massive discount of more than 80% off the challenge ticket. So, you know, there's a challenge that I plan to hopefully host repeatedly, right? So for those of you who want to come in first, right, and experience the life-changing effects of the Beam Blueprint, and for an 80% discount, definitely click the link that you will see below the description here. And I look forward to seeing you on this challenge, which you will find life-changing, because this is going to be the first time you're hearing a lot of these things and the different aspects of controlling blood sugar once and for all. I thank you for watching this video, and I will see you on the next one, or maybe I'll see you on the Control Your Blood Sugar Challenge. Take care and share this video with somebody who you think might definitely benefit from this, a frustrated type 2 diabetic. Bye-bye.